Just 7 months later, with 2 more wins under his belt, Mancini was given another title shot, this time against WBA champion Arturo Frias.
Mancini Frias turned out in 1 round to be what Hagler and Hearns a few years later would be in 3 rounds. Just wall-to-wall action.
In that short period of time, there were more punches thrown and more excitement than you would get normally in an 8 or 9 or 10 round fight.
All of a sudden, he hit me with a good left hook. Boom! Staggers me. All I remember is thinking, I just want to survive. My trainer used to tell me, 1 or 2 things you can do. When you get hit, you're going to fire back or you're going to cover up. Well, I chose to fire back.
It was the worst thing that could happen to Frias because he thought he had Ray. And he came at Ray with a vengeance and made Ray fight, and Ray just beat him to a pulp.
I threw like a double left hook. Boom! Hurt him, throw the right hand, boom, boom, boom. I drop him. Oh! Now I feel like Hercules, man. Now, forget about it, man. I'm like on top, I got that juice, man. I'm energized. And I just jumped on him, man. I wasn't going to let him off the hook.
And it's all over. And referee Richard Reyna stopped the bout. A first round knockout for Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
When he raised my hand, it was such a euphoric feeling. The only thing that compared to it was seeing each one of my children born. It hits me every time. I get emotional about it every time I see it.
What they had went through as a family, losing his brother, and his drive all those years to become a champion. And he accomplished it. Those emotions were there in the ring between him and his father. They were crying. He was kissing them. This is your belt. This is for you, Dad. This is for you. It was very emotional.
It was so surreal, man. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful moment that I finally was able to accomplish that and give that to my father.
If you didn't get positively affected emotionally by this story, you didn't have a heart. And now, at a time in boxing when you have fighters like Larry Holmes and Sugar Ray Leonard and Thomas Hearns and Marvin Hagler, Ray Mancini's the king.
It's very difficult to get there, but it's much harder to stay there. I won the title from my father, but now it was the personal challenge of trying to be a good champion.
After winning his first title defense in July of 1982, a 6th-round TKO of Ernesto España, Mancini faced his next challenger, Deuk Koo Kim. Although the South Korean owned a 17-1-1 record, he had never fought in the United States.
Nobody knew anything about him. The only thing looking at his record that stood out was that nobody ever heard of any of his opponents.
Deuk Koo Kim was not supposed to be that difficult opponent for Mancini. But in fact, he was a very, very tough Korean.
When Murphy Griffith and I initially got the tapes of Kim, we were not pleased at all. We could tell that this guy was a rough, tough customer and that we were in for a serious fight.
I'll never forget, Dave sent me a tape. Bang, bang, big punches. Never took a backward step. I said, oh, man, that's a headache. That's a headache. I said, it's just going to be a war, Dave. It's going to be a war.
The 23-year-old Kim, who was raised in the coastal village of Kojin on the Sea of Japan, claimed he had been raised by a wealthy family.
His mother's from the hometown as mine. That area is the farm country. Deuk Koo Kim is a very poor family because his father, his mother didn't have land. She told me that she was pregnant with Deuk Koo Kim just before his father died.
He moved out to Sokcho and had a hard time. And then he moved out to Seoul and started to do boxing. He knew boxing was hard, but also that it was worthy of challenge. He said he would succeed in boxing.
True to his word, Kim won the Orient and Pacific lightweight title in 1982 and defended it 3 times. With no challengers left, the WBA's #1 contender set his sights on Mancini's crown.
We met in our hometown. He said, "It is the last chance for me. Unless I win the match, I am not going to come back here. All the choice I have is to win or to die. That's all.
He even had a muffin in his hotel room before his match with Mancini. When asked what it was, he just said, "If I don't die, then the other one will."
It was the Wednesday before the fight, and I had an interview with Deuk Koo Kim in his room. Just as the interview was ending, the translator took me over to the dresser where there was a lampshade with some Korean lettering on it, and I asked him what it meant, and he said it was live or die, and I took that to mean kill or be killed.
Our dressing rooms were lying next to each other, and we're preparing like we normally do. All of a sudden, I'm hearing over there, "Oh, bah, bah, bah," rattling the lockers. There's lockers shaking and banging. "Ah, bah, bah, bah."
It's Kim. It's Kim getting worked up before a fight, letting out these blood-curdling screams. No, it's not what I would want to hear before I get in the ring.
All my camp is quiet. I kind of look over and I said, "Well, I guess we're in for a rough one today, huh?"
And there's the bell, and we are underway, and the Korean comes out swinging.
It was so exciting, and yet it was brutal. It was brutal. It was just two warriors going at it.
There was one moment in the fight, I hit him with a punch, bang, bang, bang. He steps back, does this, and the crowd goes crazy. I said, "Oh man, you gotta be kidding me."
That's the most devastating thing I think you can do psychologically to another fighter, is take his best shot and prove to him it didn't hurt me at all. It scared the hell out of Mancini. And at that point, he told me, I felt like quitting.
After 8 of the scheduled 15 rounds, one official scored the fight even, while the other 2 had Mancini slightly ahead.
He was dominating, and he did that throughout the rounds, but Kim would always come back and rally the second half of the round.
Tank, myself, we said to each other, "You're gonna have to kill this guy to stop it." To this day, that kind of bothers me that I said that, because I didn't mean it that way.
We didn't speak the same language. We come from worlds away. Yet when I was in there, I knew him better than his wife, his mother, best friend. I knew him better than anybody in the world because I knew it was on his inside. I saw what was on his inside.
It was all the good things about boxing and the bad things about boxing. The heart, the dedication, and yet there's the brutality, because the sweet science kind of went out the window for this fight. Most of the time, you had to punch back to survive.
I don't think he endured as much pain in any fight up to that point as he did in the Kim fight.
My body ached so much, my head hurt so much during that fight. But it's funny how the body feels one way, the mind tells you another. The strength of mind is what kept me in that fight.
After winning the 9th round on 2 of the 3 cards, Kim began to show signs of fatigue. In the 11th, the challenger's knee hit the canvas, but referee Richard Green did not rule it a knockdown.
The thing about Ray Mancini, is one of the underrated aspects of him, is that he was a murderous body puncher. And I think his body work in this fight really had an impact on Deuk Koo Kim. And I think that, more than anything else, started to erode Kim as the fight went on.
Mancini was a marvelously conditioned athlete, an athlete who applied pressure for 15 rounds, who was trained to go 15 rounds, who benefited from the fact that title fights were 15 rounds. Those championship rounds 11 through 15, that was Mancini's time. That's when he turned it on, and that's when he took control.
Early in round 13, Mancini landed 39 punches. Not one was returned.
All of a sudden, towards the close of the round, he comes back. You don't know where this energy is coming from.
He backs up and he started banging me. Bang, bang. I thought I had him.